Well, the coronavirus pandemic has seen South Africa implement a national lockdown, which has seen the majority of South Africans confined to their homes and only being allowed out of their homes to purchase essentials as described by the COVID-19 guidelines. This lockdown has had many consequences and effects on everyday life. The question might be, has it changed the way that we handle our financial affairs too? Well, Dr. Tshepiso Matentjie has researched what our money habits might mean for us during challenging times, and she joins me now via Skype. Thanks so much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program. And it is an interesting thing that, that we might behave differently during challenging times. Give us the context of that.
Good evening, Peter, to you and your viewers as well. During the lockdown, we've been focusing a lot as mental health care professionals on the stresses that the isolation and the lack of social contact and freedom of mobility, what it will have on people emotionally. But one of the things that we are also seeing, and particularly through this campaign with Nedbank, is that we want to intensify people's awareness about their spending habits. Because what happens is that when people are confined, they're no longer enjoying the freedoms that they usually typically have outside of the lockdown. Some of the bad habits that they might be having might come up, and a lot of it has to do with financial habits as well. So we want people to be aware of how their emotions might drive them to end up doing things that might be harmful to them, whether in terms of emotional and physical things, but also in terms of their finance. So we are hoping to raise that level of awareness and I guess increase tips on how to cope with the lockdown and make sure that at the end of it, you are actually able to look at things that you need to improve on in your spending habits, but also where you need to save, and then also how your emotions drive the way that you engage with money, and hopefully areas where you can grow post the lockdown.
All right, well, let's chat a little bit about what you describe as archetypes, which I suppose we kind of all behave in particular ways. I think you've got about 8 of them. Tell us what these archetypes are and what they tell us about us.
Okay, so the first thing about the archetypes is that it's about helping you. It's just a simple quiz that we've researched and actually reduced it to about 8 archetypes. And the goal is for you to understand how your emotions drive your spending habits and your relationship with money. So by doing the quiz, and people can find it at the Nedbank moneysecrets.co.za website. They can also follow the Nedbank YouTube channel to find out more information. We've got vlogs that we have prepared. But once you've done the quiz, you get to see at least 2 or 3 dominant archetypes. And for some people, they are able to identify the major one that is dominating. And let me take an example for people who are the risker. They tend to they get a thrill and a high from spending, and particularly the pleasure, the thrill and the high comes from not knowing what the result will be. And that might also make them get into very reckless spending habits, being able to spend impromptu without necessarily thinking about the long-term consequences of what they're doing. But you find that in the moment they get the thrill from just being able to do things. And while they might be able to be courageous in making deals and be able to make decisions that might sometimes yield positive returns, we also know that there might be losses that are going to it. Now, the economy right now and what is happening right now in terms of potential job losses, we want people to recognize that if that is your archetype, it's an opportunity for you to recognize that it's not the right time for you to be taking big risks. It's actually important for you to be more prudent, more careful, and more intentional about the way you're spending money, and look more about how you can conserve the little that you have and how you can make it stretch for longer, but also where the type of emotional triggers that you have that make you get into these types of habits so that you can correct them. Because if you are not able to self-regulate and change these types of behaviors, and you are more interested in chasing the thrill, even to the detriment of your own and your loved one's health, then actually we might be thinking about you having a compulsion and engaging in self-harming behavior that might require the intervention of a mental health care professional, because those types of behaviors might mean that you've got an addiction when it comes to spending. So use the lockdown as an opportunity for you to reflect on your spending habits, especially in terms of how your emotions are driving those spending habits, whether you can change them, how they're impacting the way you are dealing with this lockdown, the way that you're relating with money, and where you need to correct in terms of the ways where you need to improve to be a healthier version of yourself.
All right, so what you're suggesting is that we are built in a certain way psychologically, and that when we are stressed, we revert to type and behave in that way much more. So right now, we are under a stressful environment, and so if I am a big shot spender, I'm probably going to spend online buying things to feel better or feel safer, or what is it?
Yeah. Look, if you use your example, when you understand what your drivers are, the things that make you do the things that you do in your life, and maybe you might have been taking them for granted because when everything is good, you don't think there's a problem with the way that you're spending money. However, because this is a stressful period, the triggers are likely to be there, and they actually manifest in ways that might be harmful to you, but now you are being forced to introspect very critically and see, actually, is this benefiting me or not? Let's take somebody who is a carer. Carers tend to show their love and affection by taking care of other people. This is a stressful period because of the lockdown. And when you're a carer, you're going to find that a lot of people are going to reach over to you to tell you, I don't have data, I don't have airtime, we don't have groceries. And because you're a carer, you find that you have a lot of guilt because you can't be there and care for people. But remember, with the lockdown, you are isolated and your movement has been restricted. So it's an opportunity for you to find ways to connect and care with people in a way that does not involve money. It might mean just simply calling and checking up on people. It might also mean that you learn that the way that I'm caring for people, to the extent where I am carrying them beyond my financial reserves, beyond my capabilities, I'm going to have to curb that and change it, because I have been caring to the point where it's breaking my back. And now when the economy is actually under threat, my job is under threat, I am not able to sustain this after this crisis. So I'm going to have to change certain things. I'm going to have conversations with my loved ones that I can't keep doing this the way we've been doing it. And as much as I care for you, financially, it's not sustainable. And in the times of crisis, it means I don't have something to fall back on. So we are hoping that while we understand the stresses that the lockdown will help, it's also an opportunity for people to learn to develop new ways of coping, healthier ways of dealing with their finances, and actually having difficult conversations with their loved ones that, look, I'm not okay anymore with the way that I've been doing things. It can't be business as usual after the lockdown because this is not sustainable. But also to learn also to balance certain things when you're doing them in the extremes that are pushing you to live above your expenses, above your capabilities financially.
All right, so there's definitely an emotional aspect to all of this that's playing out. So once we know what our archetypes are, can we consciously say then, okay, I know that this is what I do when I'm in this kind of situation, therefore I need to manage it. I suppose awareness is the first step.
Yeah. Self-awareness is the first step. And then it's about how do I manage it?
Yeah.
Now, because we know that this period during the lockdown has really evoked a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, and even depression for people, it's to recognize that, okay, there's a psycho-emotional aspect to it. And I might need to reach out to a mental health care professional and talk about the underlying issues behind what I see as poor financial habits, and then get the therapy that you need. We have got mental health care professionals who are available online. Most of us are offering services via Skype and Zoom and WhatsApp because a lot of people are facing crisis. So you go to the root, the underlying issue, and then address it. But the other part is the fact that you do have to come up with strategies that allow you to deal with the current reality of your finances, of your future, of your emotional issues, but as well as plan on how do I come up with a sustainable plan for me. And for some individuals, particularly when it comes to money, we can sustain the way that we've been spending our money. We can sustain it, and we're going to have to make difficult choices and have difficult conversations and tell people the truth that I have financial constraints or my job is under threat. And as a result, I can't keep paying or spending as much as I was, we're going to have to tighten the belt here and there. So the emotional issue becomes important because we know that when the emotional issues are not addressed, we keep ourselves in this cycle where we are trapped in unhealthy habits. And then we say, but it's hard. Oh, but they need me. Oh, but if I'm not there, what's going to happen? There's nobody who's going to be there. The truth is, if you are not there, then nobody definitely will be there. So it's important that we use this opportunity to learn new things, because if we do not manage our money well, we are going to trap ourselves in a cycle where we are in poverty and we can't get out of it. Money well managed can make all the difference in our lives.
All right, okay, perhaps as a final question, I know that you've got some vlogs and places that they can go online to find out who they are, what archetypes they are. Can you just tell us where we can find that help?
So if you want to take the quiz, and I will encourage you to go and do the quiz. If you want to take the quiz, go to the netbankmoneysecrets.co.za. Then you can find out what kind of archetype you are. If you want to follow the vlogs, go to the Netbank YouTube. You will find out we've already loaded a few of the vlogs. I think there's 6 now that have been loaded. Listen to the vlogs where we talk you through it and we give you tips on emotionally what are the types of things you must look out for that might indicate that you are not okay. Also, how your archetype might manifest in certain behaviors, and what you might struggle with regards to triggers, and where to go and get help so that you understand what's happening to you. You can begin a conversation with yourself, but also with your loved ones so that you manage this better, and where you are not coping, to go and get a professional to assist you.
All right, Dr. Matentjie, thanks so much indeed for those powerful insights. I suspect I'm a Mr. Online Spender. That's my archetype. Thanks so much indeed for your time, and I'll certainly do that quiz and save myself some pain. All right, okay, so find out what archetype you are, because you will revert to type. You will do the things that you do when you're under stress, particularly during the type of environment that we're in now. Don't get yourself into trouble.